Hi everyone, welcome to today's Monday Rapid Fire. Just finished filming the extended version for the mastermind and lots of interesting things happening. I also forwarded an audio file which I quickly put with the mastermind. So I was walking to get my coffee this morning after my fun chat with Joe, and we both had very similar thoughts on the market. We both felt this morning like we wanted to manage some risk, and that was from looking at the overheated state of derivatives. So funding rates were getting pretty out of control. The market broadly is very frothy. XRP, all of this is starting to pump quite hard, and we're running into resistance levels overhead. While Bitcoin isn't really sealing the deal above 100K, I think it's just a short-term thing, obviously, but we're very much in the zone for a pullback, just time-wise. This is pretty much the second week of December, isn't it? So I think we're still very early in the month, and a correction here would make a ton of sense. Just again, a short-term thing where we might see some altcoins. Now, Bitcoin, where are we? Exactly where I was just elaborating on, I think, where the morning state where we felt a little bit uneasy because of the frothiness of the market is that we've just fallen beneath that 100K. So in very simple terms, we have a very clear overhead invalidation level of maybe a correction, which I've just outlined here in a little squiggle, is if we can get above 100K and solidify, up here, we let the RSI, begin to moderate, then we can get quite aggressive up here because then we're going higher. But right now, because of that frothy state, because we can't get above, and because the RSI just isn't looking to flash, and I'll just select it here. You can see this level, the RSI is just going sideways, and it looks like it might be weakening. It could be ready to bounce off the 60 level and go high, absolutely. But more than likely, I think we're actually pulling back to the 50, just like we've done multiple times. When we get up to these high points on the RSI into the power zone, we generally come back to the 50. Same as when we're up here in those high echelons, the 80s to the 90s, when we're in a real peak state, we generally come back to the 70 region, bounce there, come up a little bit higher, come back to 70, bounce, come here. Once we break that, then we're in a bit of a short-term corrective phase, which we're definitely in, and we're just chopping sideways momentum. Nothing to be too worried about. It's just this normal corrective phase, and I just can't help but thinking that we've got still a lot of people coming in and longing very late, wanting to just experience the up only when they've kind of missed that first move, and now we need to flush them out. So this is very much, in my eyesight, the 95 down to 90,000, we could have a flush just in that area before we rip higher. And when I opened CoinGlass this morning and just looked at funding rates, I was a little bit alarmed because I'm looking at all the altcoins down here, and they're all 0.03, 0.02, 0.07. Some of them are even like Pepe. No, where was I think it was Sui. Yeah, 0.13. Now that's just an outlier DYDX, but aggregated across a lot of these altcoins, they're really frothy states. Now, what I mean by that is this is the Bitcoin open interest weighted funding rate. So again, it's aggregated, but anything above 0.03, 0.04 in a bull market, you need to get a little bit, not concerned, but when it gets to that point, the longs are paying a lot, like paying a big premium to shorts to stay open. So this would be annualized. So let's say we get up to 0.03, that means these longs are paying about 30% annualized premium just to stay open and stay in the trade. So the market is heavily pinned one way. Everyone's wanting that long side exposure, and they're paying that premium for it. But what that creates is conditions where market makers can try and liquidate all those people that are in these trades in those stop losses and create those cascades, which might give us some buyers lower. So right now the market is, again, looking at the red, the altcoins are just frothy. Everyone's longing altcoins, which isn't a great sign. And I suspect in the short term we get a bit of a flush out of some of these altcoins, back to more reasonable prices. But when you think about it, a lot of these altcoins are running into overhead resistances now, even old highs or all that. They need to come back to some sane levels around 10 EMAs and 20 SMAs to have a bounce, a higher low before they refuel and go higher. So that's all I'm saying. And Ethereum's probably a good example. We're running into this overhead, all-time high essentially on Ethereum. I believe that's the all-time high. Actually, let me just double check. No, not the all-time high, but it is the 2024 highs. So we're running straight into that at 4,000. So this is that key level. You see that red box I've had there for pretty much the whole year. It's a sell block. So supply is being unlocked. Now, this is a really good spot for Ethereum to get sold into, and we're seeing the RSI just roll over a tad there that could break this, this sort of bunch of higher lows down to here. And this is the parabola we don't really want it to lose, but in the end, it's likely going to come back and retest some of those shorter term moving averages. So the 10 EMA is there, the 20 SMA is there, and it's funny, you can almost, when you sense a bit of danger and need to manage risk at some of these, key pivot levels, these prices tend to gravitate back to these shorter term moving averages. They always do. You can just see all the way up through there, and adherence to them is quite strong. So this sort of parabolic advance, I don't know if it's called parabolic advance yet, but it's very clear that it wants to go higher, but it could correctively move into here, build a bit more of a base, then bust through that $4,000 level. So what you really want to be doing here is, if you're sensing risk, we're getting a little bit of it now in terms of the liquidity is moving out of the market a little bit. Bitcoin dominance is rebounding a bit after being massively oversold on the daily. USDT is having a little bit of a bounce back. Total 3 looks like it wants to contract a bit. And this is all in line as well with Global M2, which is having a bit of a correction, and we're just lagging that a little bit. So everything kind of pointing to us having a little bit of a pullback here. Watch those altcoins that are showing that relative strength. So they're moving right now when we're seeing a bit of weakness in the market. Sui is always a strong performer. Again, it had a bit of a pullback and down to about $4.10. That's about the extent of it. What else? Memes have had a really nice little purple patch here, and look, Dog has been phenomenal. And I was saying to the masterminds, I've made a lot of money this cycle by just playing the breakouts. There's a bit of risk to that, but honestly, if you're playing this when it closes above the prior high, so when you're seeing this here, strong daily close here, getting it around this point, making sure that momentum all looks good, you're seeing the volumes come in, it's a really good way of putting the odds in your favor. It's something I've been really working on, and Dog has made me quite a bit of money just here when I used a bit of leverage on it, because I was pretty confident in my entry, and it's just been showing a lot of strength. It's trying to break out to that new all-time high. So I think it's that these kind of plays, when you're waiting for strength, you're playing into the momentum, is just, it can be a game changer if you get really good and adept at it. It's something I'm showing the masterminds quite a bit around that. Joe and I are both using this kind of strategy. Saw it with Sui, all these. And what we should remember as well as investors is, you can't always just look at the cryptos that are just piling money into these cryptos that just haven't moved in a long time. All cryptos are going to pump eventually. But if you were to have just watched what cryptos are just outperforming Bitcoin throughout this entire year, which has been very, very few, apart from some memes and things like Sui, you would have missed out on some tremendous opportunities. And the thing is, if you've been around a few cycles, you'll know that whatever has run into this point in the cycle, really hard, has been showing strong strength and momentum, that likely is going to be a strong mover for the rest of the cycle. So I think the Suis of the world. I think those memes that have been really, really strong, and some other big tokens, like Beam and Stacks was a big early performer. Solana, massive, these type of tokens. And there are others. I'm just, highlighting what I'm thinking at a high level. So once we get out of this little period, which I think is just going to be a little bit corrective, where we're just going to chop through some pain and some rubbish. We've also got potential rate cut coming up as well. So I think the market is just kind of holding its ground a little bit, and likely a small corrective phase until we get more data around that. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to seeing everyone who's coming to the boat for the CCI Christmas party. I cannot wait on the Gold Coast. It's going to be so much fun. So hope you had a great day, and catch you soon. See you guys. Bye-bye.